Hello, I'm Stan Stalnaker with Hub Culture, and we're here at the Davos Ice House, part of the Hub Culture Davos Pavilion, appearing here during the World Economic Forum for the fourth time. This building is actually created out of polycarbonate and aluminum, and it's the first circular economy building in the world. But today, we're going to be talking about the future, and in particular, the future of Hub Culture's portfolio companies that we see as very high potential projects that could potentially change the world, that can impact technology, and hopefully can make life better. So this idea was something that was born out of a year of discussions, many of them that came from here in Davos. And so I've got a number of friends here who are all companies that are working with us in the Hub Culture portfolio. They're either companies that we are advising, or companies that we are investing in, or companies where we are having a say in the development and input in the development of their product set. But before I get to our guests, which represent Distilled Identity, AIKON, Ultron, Spacebit, and a new venture called Lionheart Ventures, I'd like to introduce my friend, Mr. Munoz. Please come up. Hello. How are you? So for our viewers out in the world, you were the creator, one of the co-founders of the concept of the B Corp, the B Corp. Can you tell us what is the B Corp and how is it changing the face of business?
Thanks, Dan, and hi everybody. B Corps are simply companies that are committed not only to maximize profit, but at the same time maximizing the social and environmental impact. Are companies that are redefining success in business through the way that they're learning how to measure their social and environmental impact with the same rigor that they're measuring their financial impact. Actually, there are more than 2,700 B Corps in more than 65 countries around the globe. Some of them are SMEs, and many of them are really big companies, or even publicly traded companies that are definitely changing the way we understand what is success in business and offering a perfectly pragmatic tool to understand that in this right moment in life, we need to bring purpose into business. And in order to do that, we need a measurement tool, and that's the B Impact Assessment, that is also being adapted for the measurement of how companies are achieving the SDGs. So this is the most concrete way for companies to measure their impact and to manage their purpose.
All right, thank you. So Gonzalo, how do you set up a B Corp? There's so many of these now, but it maybe varies a little bit by the place. If you want to have a social impact business, or you want to have a business that is a B Corp, how does one go about setting one up? What are the different rules?
There are mainly 4 steps. The first one is to have a purpose. That purpose, second, has to be embedded into the bylaws, so you have to change your bylaws. Third, you have to measure that through a very concrete tool. This is the B Impact Assessment that is online, is free of access, so you can, every single company can measure the impact. As I said, there are 2,700 B Corps in the world, but there are more than 70,000 companies in the world using the tool to measure the impact. So the invitation is for any company in the world to start checking their impact through the B Impact Assessment. And the fourth is that when you get certified, when you have the minimum score in the B Impact Assessment, then you can become a B Corp and participate in an interdependent community of companies trying to redefine the success in business and change the behavior of the business in the world.
So it's kind of a social impact business ecosystem.
Absolutely.
Very good. And where can we go online to learn more about B Corps?
So you can go to bcorporation.net, and therefore you can see what that community looks like. At the same time, you can see which are the companies and what's the metrics and the tool that anybody can use.
Okay. Now, Gonzalo, I know you are on a very strict schedule, and thank you for taking a few minutes to explain the concept of a B Corp. This is kind of the future of, I would say, good business. Thank you so much for stopping into the Hub Culture Pavilion, and good luck on the rest of the day here in Davos. I hope it's been good for you.
Thank you very much, Stan.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
We'll see you. Okay, so now we're going to meet our wonderful panelists representing these companies. So can we start with David from Distilled Identity, because the company continues to evolve. Just give us a quick, one sentence on Distilled Identity and the concept, and then we're going to pass the mic all the way down, and then we'll get into a more conversation about the potential of these projects.
I'm Dave Schreier. I'm the CEO of Distilled Identity. We're an AI biometric software company that helps financial institutions and governments build better identity profiles to to in turn help their customers and their citizens to engage in society. We are trying to address the 1 billion people that the SDG 16.9 is seeking to help, who lack any identity whatsoever in the eyes of government. And this week we announced our partnership to help with helping refugee resettlement in alignment with UNICEF and UNHCR goals.
Great. That sounds like a big agenda.
Hi, I'm Mark Blinder. I'm one of the founders of AIKON, AIKON. We are a blockchain company that provides tools for developers that make it easy to bridge blockchain technologies to the normal world of the internet we're all used to today. So that could be anything from tools to allow users to log into blockchain applications with popular services like Google, Facebook, Twitter, etc., and also tools for monetizing projects on the blockchain with normal customers and enterprises.
Hi everyone, my name is Betsabeh. I'm also one of the co-founders of AIKON. And just to add to my co-founder Mark on the right side to me, at AIKON we manage access controls and rights management via APIs. And the magic of our protocol is based on transforming how APIs are used and APIs can be connected and shared together.
Hi, my name is Patrick Martin. I'm a co-founder of the Ultra Digital Asset Platform. This is an ecosystem to digitize assets from real-world assets to bring them online and on the blockchain. We also have an exchange based in Bermuda, and we're basically trying to help the ecosystem evolve for the future, because digital assets will take over.
I'm a founder of Spacebit. My name is Paulo. Spacebit is using blockchain technology to tokenize space data, so we're working mostly with downstream applications, but now we are also working on a rover, a moon rover, which is going to fly within 1 year. We're launching this mission with PT scientists and SpaceX, so it's gonna get very exciting, and please follow us.
Hi, I'm David Langer, founder and general partner at Lionheart Ventures, which is a new VC fund investing in solutions to existential risks and helping our founders to maximize their performance potential, bringing together a network of health coaches, executive coaches, mastermind groups, and other resources. Since 1991, the doomsday clock has moved from 17 minutes to midnight to 2 minutes to midnight, driven by climate change, increasing risk of nuclear war primarily, and we're investing in solutions to dial these things back and also dial back the root cause of these issues, which we believe is our mental health and our consciousness.
So David, we're going to begin with you in this conversation, so if you come up for a second. David and I have been working together and talking since the summer, and he told me about Lionheart Ventures, and Hub Culture has become an LP in this fund, and we're very excited to be announcing that today. And we're also making a syndicate available for all 60,000 of the Hub Culture members to be able to buy into a syndicate that would actually feed this fund. And so that's a great way for us to be collaborating using the technologies of Hub Culture to support a fund that's focused on existential risk. I'd like to say one thing that I thought of this morning, which I think is why this is so synchronous, because Ven, the symbol of Ven is a lion. And so if you think about Lionheart Ventures, the very heart of what we are doing with this digital currency is about trying to make the world better. And so for us to be partnering with you on a fund that's focused on these long-term risks with a capital view that is untraditional for venture, I think is very, very important, because the fund has a longer horizon. So can we talk about that for a second? Why does this fund focus on existential risk in the context of time, and how is that different from traditional venture?
Sure, so in terms of existential risks, we have shorter term and longer term risks that we have to deal with. With the climate change, we know for sure, given the data that we have, that this is a significant issue for us, and it's something that has a longer time horizon. So the way that we're approaching it is we have a 10-year fund, extendable to 12 years, and we're investing in companies that may have very long-term solutions for our investors. If these solutions do take longer, we'll be looking to get out in terms of secondary towards the end of the fund. So we're operating within the confines of a relatively conventional VC fund, but adapting our positions to suit whether it's short-term risks, long-term risks, companies that have a shorter-term or longer-term time horizon, so that essentially we can invest in the most important problems that are being solved today over the short-term and long-term, whilst providing a good return to our investors.
And real quick, what do you think is the single greatest risk facing us today?
The way that we're treating the planet. We're not going to Mars anytime soon, or not many of us are. We only have one planet, and we need to look after it. Okay,
thank you. Okay, David from Lionheart Ventures, you can check out that fund online, and you can also check out the access to the syndicates via hubculture.com. Okay, so we're going to pivot a little bit now to blockchain, because the other 4 companies are all linked and very much to the blockchain. So David, let's bring you up here for a second. So tell us a little bit more about Distilled Identity, because you have an MIT background, we worked together for a number of years, and this company began looking at big data analytics, and it's now really started to hone in on this identity issue. So can you talk to us about what's your vision for identity?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started working at MIT years ago because I'm really interested in these questions of how can technology solve big problems for society. And my background's in software and data, so I'm looking at it through the lens of where can software and data help solve big problems in society. And as we started playing with a new computational social science called social physics, and began talking to customers and talking to other stakeholders and governments about what are the most acute problems and what's preventing 3.5 billion people in the world from fully participating in the financial system, we realized identity was the keystone. That without identity, you can't get a bank account. For that matter, you can't get an apartment, you can't get medical care, you can't get the vote. Identity is critical to everything. And so we put together a book called Trust Data. Then we put together an open source code consortium called the Trust Data Consortium at trust.mit.edu. And then I said we got to go a step further and really drive commercial adoption to get this to scale. So we're working on a number of partnerships that'll get us to, just in the last 2 weeks, potential reach of 1 billion people. And we'll hopefully be announcing those later in the spring.
Amazing. And we'll come back and talk about some of the companies you guys are beginning to work with to deploy new forms of identity. For Patrick, so this idea of tokenized assets is really becoming, the eye of Sauron in a way. If you think about the world of venture, the world of attention, it's really moving to tokenization. So can you just give us a quick explanation of what tokenization means and what you think the longer term impacts might result from that?
Okay, so one thing it means at the moment, most assets are traded either physically or on exchanges, but they just trade a right or representation. And settlement for these assets takes between several days to several weeks. It's a piece of real estate. So let's say you take a piece of real estate, a building that's worth $10 million, and if you want to sell that building, you need to hire an estate agent, and you need to go through a month-long process, and then find some buyers, but you then have to sell the whole building. Like you have to find someone to give you $10 million. If you tokenize the asset, you basically cut it up into 10 million pieces of $1 each, and you put that on a blockchain, which is a database or a ledger that basically keeps the record of the ownership of these tokens. And then you say, okay, now I can sell 1 token, or I can sell 100 or 1 million. So people, I can cut up the asset, but the ownership, right of ownership in the building is basically represented in the token on the blockchain, so that I can then become an owner of like 1% of the building, or $1 worth of the building, or $1 million of the building. So suddenly you make the ownership of the building accessible to a lot more people, because I don't need 10 million to have a piece of that building.
So, especially for people, many people today who, for instance, can't afford real estate, or younger people who aren't able to do that, or even a person who could but maybe wants to be a bit more diversified, you could potentially own a stake of thousands of properties around the world for the same amount of money that you would have spent on a single property, right?
Yes.
And you also probably have different ways to form collective groups to get action done. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just spoke to someone, and they're tokenizing a football stadium, or part of a football stadium, and then not only can you basically bring your fan base in, and they can own little piece of their own football stadium, but they will also attach some of the ticket sales. So suddenly you own not just the asset, but you own the revenue stream from the asset. So suddenly it just creates a very new shift to sort of crowd potential for people, normal people, to participate in assets that they weren't able to participate in.
Right, amazing. And this is all at Ultra.exchange?
Yes,
Right.
Ultra.exchange.
Okay. And you know, one of the things that we're doing with Ultra is introducing these assets into Hub Culture. So you can trade your VEN for any Ultra asset. And the one that I'm personally most excited about is Ultra Reserve, which is a forest that's being tokenized out of British Columbia. So you can go in and you can buy a little bit of this forest, and the money then goes to the eternal preservation of the forest and the land, and it kicks off a cycle by which the more token that gets sold, the more land that can be bought, because the Ultra Reserve token is backed by the land. So amazing, thank you.
Thank you, Sven.
Okay, let's pivot over to here to AIKON, and I'd love to have a kind of two-way discussion between the two of you guys about this look at APIs. So first of all, what is an API? Because maybe people don't necessarily know that. And then in really simple terms, how would you imagine that someone would use what you guys do? Or how would it make the world better?
Sure. Well, I'll take the what is an API. This is something I get asked all the time by my family, unsurprisingly being in this business. So APIs are how computers talk to each other. Almost everything on the internet today is done via APIs. And so anyone watching this or in the room that has a smartphone is probably talking to 30 APIs right now. They're giving you anything from your emails from Google to your messages from Facebook to your map directions to your texts, right? So, and that extends not just to consumer products, but pretty much everything in the enterprise space as well. So banking is done via API, connections between mobile phone carriers, that's all carried via API these days. So it's the fundamental connective tissue of the internet, and we believe that the best way to manage the kind of access control and rights to those APIs is with a open source blockchain-based solution that is kind of fair to everyone and open to like the whole world, no matter where you live and where your company is.
Okay. And that's the thing?
Yeah. And then in terms of how we are making this world better, is definitely blockchain has a lot of potential to change the world and help millions of people. But the reality is that blockchain is incredibly hard to use. Most ordinary people on the street, will not understand how to download a wallet, will not understand how to use blockchain. So one of our goals and what we're doing is to try to make blockchain really easy so ultimately the ordinary people can use blockchain. But beyond that, what our vision is, we're building the tools to put it on the hands of those very smart people, developers, entrepreneurs, to be able to solve the real problems. This is something that, in personal, I'm very passionate about it, because we have come across amazing products, from AI recognition of skin cancer and other type of products, and they're not usable. They cannot have hospitals using it. And originally when we started this project, we started thinking, well, we're gonna be able to create jobs in emerging markets. So anyone in any corner of the world will be fairly compensated, and any developer will be able to use our API marketplace to be able to build a DApp very easy.
So this creates a kind of a global marketplace for APIs. So if you're a young developer in Rio, or if you're a really smart kid in Hyderabad, you can submit the API to this marketplace, and then anyone in the world can pull that API for their own technical work. Is that right?
Yes, so what we do, our protocol, what it does, it wraps the API and make it blockchain enabled, and enables it to also connect to traditional tech stack. So it is right. So a young developer in Rio may have a great idea of how to solve the problem, an API that can help solve the problems of his community, which are very different from any other community in the United States. So he can wrap that API with a protocol, publicize it in our API marketplace, and perhaps another developer, another DApp in Southeast Asia say, oh, that's a similar problem that I'm trying to solve, so let me use it.
Okay, so from now on I'm saying AIKON is lowering the cost of innovation, because that's really what it is about there. Thank you. Okay, Pablo, let's come up. Pablo and I have been friends for quite a long time, and we had worked together in the early days of blockchain and crypto, looking at the world of Bitcoin and everything around us. You were very early on money transmission systems in Eastern Europe and Central Asia, and then you exited that company, and then you started Spacebit. So when I first told some of our board that we were investing in this company, they actually burst out laughing because they said, "How do you do a startup focused on space? How do you do a startup focused on space?"
Well, you just do it. Well, you're right. So in the past around